What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto changes after Hozuki Castle Sasuke bashing? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. This takes place after Naruto and Sasuke's fight in the retrieval arc. We begin with Naruto carrying Sasuke back to Konoha after defeating him in the Valley of the End. He couldn't help but smile, despite being in pain from the Chidori wound and a couple of other wounds. He was happy that he finally beat his childhood rival, that he didn't let the rest of the retrieval team down and that he fulfilled his promise to Sakura, his crush since the academy days. As he was nearing the village gates, many people started coming into view. These people included Tsunade, Sakura, Hinata, Shino, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy, Kakashi, Konohamaru with his two friends, Gaara with his siblings, and many villagers. "Look, the last Uchiha is back," said some random villager. With that, all the villagers cheered. "You did it," Tsunade thought as she smiled. "Naruto, you truly are something else. I couldn't be any prouder." Kakashi thought as he smiled too. "I knew you could do it, Naruto-kun." Hinata thought as she blushed. "Big brother Naruto," Konohamaru exclaimed over the cheering. After hearing that, Naruto picked up the pace a little, but not too much. As he reached the gates, he was met with a different tone of voice from Sakura. "Naruto, you idiot, what did you do to Sasuke-kun?" Sakura shouted with all her might, which ended all the cheering. "Hey, he wouldn't come back willingly, so I had to beat some sense into him. And besides, look at me. He attacked and I had to defend myself," yelled an enraged Naruto. "Slap. Don't you dare talk about Sasuke-kun like that ever again, you demon," said Sakura as she reared her hand back to land another hit on Naruto, until it was stopped by an arm of sand coming out of Gaara's gourd. "Lay another hand on my brother, and you'll regret it," Gaara said very sternly, giving her a cold glare. "Sakura, you made your teammate promise you to bring back this traitor. He does this for you, and you repay him by treating him the same way I have always seen you treat him," said Kakashi with a glare of disappointment. Ino, Konohamaru, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy and Tsunade also sent her glares. But not Hinata. She was not mad, oh no, she was pissed. She walked over and punched Sakura in the face. "What the hell was that for Hinata?" Sakura yelled. Suddenly, with speed no one knew she had, Hinata activated her Byakugan, grabbed Sakura by the throat and lifted her a little bit into the air. Watching this, everyone made a note in their heads not to piss off a shy, quiet girl ever again, especially Hinata. "You are such an ungrateful bitch, Sakura. How dare you treat Naruto-kun like that after all he just went through to make you happy?" Hinata stated with venom, which scared Sakura as she grabbed her wrists in an attempt to escape the death grip she was in. "You always say Naruto is the worst of our class, but when you look at it, Sakura, you are the most worthless shinobi. Not just of our class but in the entire village," stated Ino. As she said that, Hinata threw Sakura hard into the ground. "If you ever lay a hand on Naruto-kun again, Haruno, I'll do a lot worse things to you," said Hinata as she sent another glare towards the pink-haired girl, then turned her attention to her blonde crush. "Are you alright, Naruto-kun?" she asked with great concern after getting a closer look and saw the injuries he had. "I'm fine, Hinata-chan, believe it. No need to war," Naruto began to say, but was interrupted as he coughed up blood into his hands. Then, he closed his eyes due to exhaustion and started falling forward into Hinata, knocking them both to the ground with Naruto on top of her. Hinata was already blushing after her crush included Chan when addressing her, but this made her entire face turn red and she passed out too. "About time, but now is not the time," thought Tsunade. She then started barking orders. "Show is over everyone, get these three to the hospital ASAP. I'll treat Naruto myself," she said, pointing towards Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata. "Yes, Lady Tsunade. I'll take Naruto, Sakura you take Sasuke, Kurenai you take Hinata." Kakashi spoke as he lifted Naruto off the passed-out Hyuga heir. The others nodded and did as told. Konoha Hospital. Tsunade was done treating Naruto. The Kyuubi fixed a good amount of the damage, such as the broken ribs and the cuts, but the Chidori wound was not fully healed. She had managed to reduce the loss of blood, but it would take a little more time for it to close up completely. Outside Naruto's room were Gaara, Hinata, Kakashi, Ino and the Konohamaru group. They eagerly awaited news from the Hokage and hoped their blonde friend would be alright. Minato-sensei, I'm so sorry. If I had not taught that technique to Sasuke, Naruto would not be in this condition. From this day on I promise, I will teach him all I know and help him in any way I can. I will not fail you again. Kakashi thought with great shame. He felt terrible that he had ignored his sensei's son in favor of another student who turned out to be a power-hungry, arrogant brat. Naruto-kun, please get through this soon as you wake up. I will be there to tell you how I feel, as I should have long ago. And I promise to always be there to help you. I watched you from the shadows, no more. Hinata thought as she blushed, which everyone noticed. Ino scooted over towards her whispering in Hinata's ear. Thinking about how you were going to smother Naruto with your love. "'Bout time you did, girl," Ino whispered, followed by a giggle. This caused the Hyuga to blush even more while moving her index fingers together like she usually does. But everyone turned towards the room's door when they heard it starting to open. Tsunade emerged from the door and walked towards them. "Lady Tsunade, please tell me, is Naruto going to be okay?" asked a very concerned Kakashi. This caused the blonde Hokage to raise an eyebrow and narrow her eyes slightly. "Kakashi, I promise you he will make a full recovery. For now, he needs rest. He should regain consciousness in 2 days. However, I'm surprised you are here and not with the Uchiha." Tsunade said. "Lady Tsunade, you have every right to be angry with me. This is my fault, for I taught my signature move to Sasuke. But I realize my mistake. I shouldn't have taught anything that dangerous to that backstabber. From now on, I will make sure nothing like this happens to Naruto ever again, and I will train him to become the greatest shinobi he possibly can," said Kakashi as he raised his hands, waving them back and forth in fear. "Make sure that you do, for I will hold you to that. You may all go in if you wish, for now I must go. The council is calling a meeting, much to my disliking. I need some sake, damn it," Tsunade yelled in frustration as she was walking en route to the council chambers. As she left, everyone went into the hospital room to see the unconscious Naruto. Hinata, Gaara and Kakashi sat the closest to him. "Wake up soon, my friend. You are like family to me now," said Gaara. Hinata, Ino, Konohamaru, Moegi and Udon were curious as to what he meant by that, but Kakashi knew. Maybe it was time for them to know as well, but decided to wait until his blonde student was awake. For now, he decided to find out what happens at the meeting. Konoha Council Chambers. "The demon brat must be punished for his actions," said some random civilian counselor. "Punished? He brought back the traitor and completed his mission. If anything, he deserves a field promotion," yelled an enraged Jiraiya. "For nearly killing the last Uchiha? I say we kill the demon, like the Yondaime should have done all those years ago," said Councillor Kaharu. Many council members nodded in agreement, which consisted of Homura, Danzo, Sume Inzuka, Mebuki Haruno, Hiyashi Hyuga, and the majority of the civilian council. Ever since the Kyuubi attack 13 years ago, they have been looking for a reason to kill Naruto. However, others, which consisted of Shikaku Nara, Inochi Yamanaka, Shuza Akamichi, and Shibi Aburame, sided with Jiraiya. For they knew of Naruto's parents and were dear friends of theirs. They have always tried their best to support Naruto, even after being threatened by Danzo and the elders to stay away from him. But they weren't the only ones to back up Jiraiya, for some of the civilian council have come to regret all they have done to Naruto when he was young. And after learning that he defeated Gaara and stopped him from attacking the village, they have come to respect him and saw him not as the Kyuubi, but a fiercely loyal shinobi willing to do anything to protect those he cared about. Everyone's thoughts were interrupted by Tsunade barging in through the doors. She was walking to her chair with an irritated look, for she knew what this meeting was all about. She sat herself down and sighed, knowing full well this meeting would not have a positive outcome. "Tsunade, what are you going to do about what the demon brat has done?" asked an eager Danzo. "First off, he is not a demon brat. Secondly, he will not be punished. As soon as he recovers, I'm promoting him to Chunin, like I should have when I promoted Shikamaru Nara," Tsunade replied. Despite being angry at most of the council, she answered in a calm tone. She wondered why she became the leader of these idiots since she first returned. "That's outrageous. He needs to be put down," said an enraged Haruno. You'll have to get through me first, bitch, yelled Shuza. You damn fool. If you kill the boy, the demon will be released and finish what it started those years ago. Only the container can be killed. And by doing so will not only mean our deaths, but you would also be spitting on the Yondiami's grave. Yelled a civilian council member, which Tsunade was glad. At least some of the villagers saw the entire picture. Then I say we send him to the blood prison for life. He will suffer for his crimes and we can remain safe at the same time. I say an early death is too good for him, Hiyashi declared, with those against Naruto nodding in agreement. Well, Hiyashi, no matter what you, or any of your supporters say, I'm still the Hokage. I decide what happens to my shinobi. Naruto and the rest of the retrieval team will be rewarded for their efforts, and Sasuke will have his chakras sealed and placed on house arrest. Tsunade said. You forget, Tsunade, that when the Hokage is emotionally compromised about a matter, we vote and rule in favor of the majority. Stated a now confident Homura. She smiled, for she saw a golden opportunity. I agree. All those in favor of promoting Naruto, raise your hands, said Danzo. Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shuza Akamichi, Shikaku Nara, Inochi Yamanaka, Shibi Aburame, and some of the civilian council raised their hands in favor. And now, those opposed? Asked Danzo before raising his own hand. Hiyashi Hyuga, Kaharu, Hamaru, Haruno, Sumei Inuzuka and the majority of the civilian council raised their hands backing up Danzo, which brought a small smile to his face. Then it is settled. Naruto shall not be promoted, and for almost killing the last Uchiha I declare he be imprisoned for the rest of his life. We cannot kill him due to the risks and he knows too much to have him banished. Once he regains consciousness I will have a squad of Anbu shinobi escort him in here and have him informed. Said Danzo as he started walking out the room, but was met with a huge killer intent. You can't do this, Danzo. I'm the Hokage. I decide what happens to him. Tsunade screamed. She just wanted to go over there and break that crippled old bastard's neck, which she could easily do. She turned and saw smirks on the supporters' faces. You're all traitors. The Yondiami's sacrifice was in vain. How dare you punish his son and ignore his last request? Yelled an enraged Jiraiya. He couldn't believe that they are doing this to his godson. If Minato were alive, he would be just as if not more furious. Unfortunately for you demon supporters, history will not see it that way. This is for the survival of the village, said Haruno with a smirk. Now if you will excuse me, I must take my daughter back to the compound to have the caged bird curse seal placed on her. Since she also poses a threat to the village by attacking a shinobi to defend it, said Hiyashi with a hint of venom towards the two young teens. I'm so sorry, Minato. I've failed you and Kushina. If I knew your son was alive, I would have taken him with me and spare him from all his suffering. Thought Tsunade with great regret. This can't be. This wasn't supposed to happen. We've got to do something before it is too late. Inochi thought to himself in complete disbelief. Minato was his friend and teammate, and without him he and his family would be dead now. Outside the council chambers, emerging from the entrance was a very angry Jiraiya shaking his head in great disappointment. In that moment, he lost all hope in Konoha and everyone in it. But now he had to do something to help Naruto. When suddenly, he was approached from behind by someone. He turned around and saw Kakashi. Hey Jiraiya, judging from the look on your face, the meeting did not go well. What happened? He asked his sensei's mentor. What's going to happen to Naruto? I'm a little surprised you are not asking about your other student, Kakashi. But to answer your question, the majority of the council has voted to send Naruto to Hozuki Castle for the rest of his life while Sasuke is only getting slap on the wrist. Those bastards, Jiraiya stated in disgust. Upon hearing this, Kakashi's eyes widened. The blood prison? But he did nothing wrong. Sasuke should be punished for almost murdering his teammate. Well, it is true sadly. But anyway, why do you care? Jiraiya asked with a slight glare. Jiraiya, I do regret not helping Naruto for the exams and I wish I never taught the Uchiha my signature move. I abandoned him, which makes me worse than scum, but right now that's not important. We can't let them do this to him. We must help Naruto, Kakashi said in a serious tone. For the first time in a while, Kakashi, we agree. I've given up hope for this place honestly. If it were up to me, I'd leave the village permanently and take him with me, said Jiraiya as he stared up at the partly cloudy sky. Count me in. What's the plan? I'll get Naruto out of here to a safe place, even if I have to fight every other shinobi in this village," declared the one-eyed Junin. "We're glad to hear you say that, Kakashi, for we ourselves came to the same conclusion," stated a voice behind the two. They turned around to see Tsunade with Inochi, Shikaku, Shuza and Shibi by her sides. "And us." Coming from around the corner were Asuma, Kurenai and Guy. "My father was a good and wise leader, but he was a fool to give the council too much power," said Asuma. They approached the group. "Yash, a comrade is in need of our help. I will see to it that the council does not extinguish his flames of youth," Guy declared loudly, only to be bopped on the head courtesy of Kurenai. "Idiot, do you want the whole village to know we are about to commit treason?" she said with a look that sent shivers down his spine. "You guys, you don't have to do this. This is my responsibility," said Kakashi a little sternly. He was not about to get his friends in trouble. "You said so yourself, Kakashi, those who disregard the rules are scum." "But," said Asuma, but stopped expecting Kakashi to finish his deceased teammate's statement. "Those who abandon their comrades are worse than scum," he admitted in defeat. He knew that they would not back down from this once they made up their mind. "Anyway, disperse for now. We shall meet at the Hokage mansion at midnight tonight to discuss a plan of action. If you wish, bring your students too. I have seen how they interact with the Gaki and I'm sure they are eager to help in any way they can. Also Kurenai, don't leave Hinata's side, for her father wishes to punish her with caged bird curse seal for attacking Sakura," Tsunade said, to which everyone nodded. "Yes, Lady Tsunade," they all said as they went off in different directions. Meanwhile, Takigakure no Sato, village hidden by a waterfall. A shinobi village northwest of Fire Country. While not as vast and luxurious as the 5 main hidden villages, it was rich in its beauty and nature. A hidden paradise that maybe no one would want to leave if they found it. Well, except for a certain girl. "Alright, today is the day we leave and start seeing the world, Chomei," said a young girl with light green hair, orange eyes, tan skin and wore a cloak over her 2-piece outfit. "I hope you know what you are doing, young larva," said a voice in her head. "Please, call me Fu. But hey, I'm sick of always being told what to do, where to go and what I can eat. I feel kind of like a prisoner in my own home. Don't you want to leave too? More than you know, I mean Fu. But we are going by ourselves. Aren't you scared?" "Yes, but I'm mostly excited. There's a whole world out there for us to roam in. I want to meet new people, try some new foods, swim in the ocean, maybe learn some interesting and unique jutsus. Maybe someday I'll meet a handsome man," she was rambling on. "I get it, young one. But how are we getting out of here? This village may not have as many shinobi as like say Kumo or Iwa, but they aren't exactly pushovers. How do you plan to get out with them in your way? And let's say we do get out, they'll be hell-bent on getting you back here. After all, we are their ultimate weapon," said Chomei, both with frustration and concern. While most tailed beasts hate their containers, she and her became friends in little to no time at all. "I have a plan. Just wait until I call for your help. Okay? Alright, this better work. Trust me, as you always have." And with that, Fu jumped out of the main tree of the village and went to the Shibuki's house. Inside the house, the Shibuki sat and was going over a couple of minor issues of the village. He was the village leader and sort of a father figure to the young teen. While he cared for her very dearly, she was still a Jinchuriki and needed to be kept in line. His thoughts were interrupted when she came in like she owned the place and walked up to him. "Good afternoon." She waved with her eyes shut with a carefree smile. "So it is. What can I do for you today, Fu?" he asked with a smile. "Have you seen Kegan and Yoro recently? I was hoping to learn a couple of things from them and spar with them today. They were on patrol, but they should be here any minute to give me a report. Why don't you stick around?" "Okay, but they better not take forever," she said, eagerness obvious in her voice. As she spoke, that said people were walking in. "Who better not take forever?" asked Yoro in an irritated tone with a raised eyebrow. Fu turned around and scratched the back of her head sheepishly. "My lord, it was all quiet with nothing out of the ordinary." "Nothing to report," stated Kogan as he approached his leader. "Excellent work, you two. Now then, Fu wishes to learn some more about fighting and have a spar with you." "Very well, sir. Here's hoping she'll listen to everything we have to say for a change," said Yoro, sending the young teen a small glare. "I'll listen when your lectures aren't so boring," stated Fu with closed eyes and a big grin. Sigh. Let's just get this over with. Good day, Lord Shibuki. Good day, you three, and have fun. He stood up and bowed to them. The other three occupants did the same as a sign of respect. And with that his shinobi left. That girl is too carefree for her own good, he said, smiling and shaking his head. Little did he know this would be the last time he ever sees her. Outside, Fu, Kogan and Yoro were walking in the woods heading towards the training fields. So brat, what shall we teach you this time? And will you both to listen to them? Asked Kogan. But unbeknownst to him she was smiling behind him. Actually I wanted to show you guys a new thing Chomei showed me. What do I? He never go to finish his sentence before Fu put her plan into action. Now, let's fly. And with that, Fu grew some wings out of her back and used them to get about 15 feet in the air. Then suddenly, the wings started flapping rapidly as she used a sleeping powder on her two comrades. Before they could move, the powder immediately took effect and they fell to their sides into the grassy ground. Huh, that was easier than I thought it would be. Shall we get going, Chomei? She asked her partner. Indeed we shall. Let's go enjoy the world and hope we don't run into my siblings. Chomei said, but then realized what she said. Siblings? I didn't know there were more than one of y'all. Fu said as she was flying up through the trees and eventually got out into the early evening sky and flew towards the setting sun. We shall save that discussion for another time. Larva. On the outskirts of Kusagakure no Sato, village hidden in the grass. Another one of the smaller shinobi countries just west of Fire Country and south of Waterfall. Night fell before the young girl knew it, much to her disappointment. At least she passed the border of Waterfall. Now, she was truly free. Fu, I know you wish to keep going, but you need to find a secluded spot to rest and have something to eat. Otherwise you will be exhausted by dawn. Chomei said, trying to reason with her container. She liked her, but can be quite a stubborn ass when it came to reason sometimes. Sigh, I guess you're right. I mean, it is getting pretty dark and to be honest I'm a little creeped out. Fu said in defeat. She had just gotten free from that place that she resented only to have to stop for now. Any suggestions? Your suggestion is as good as mine right now. It's been decades since I've even been in this area. I see, but does it really have to be secluded? Can't we go into town and just not draw any attention? I want to eat something warm and sleep in a real bed. She asked innocently. She saw no problem with it, just going in and getting something to eat and staying in an inn. And she didn't want to sleep up in a tree or something along those lines. Idiot, think about it for a second. A newcomer they have never seen before just walking in. That will definitely draw suspicion, at least among the ninjas of the village. Yeah, only if we make a scene. I'll take off my headband and then when I enter I'll do my best to blend in and won't cause any trouble. I swear, Chomei, sometimes you are a little too paranoid. She said, trying to make a point. I know, sorry for yelling at you. I just don't want us to go back to that place, or worse, getting captured in another village that will treat you like you are even lower than dirt. She said to her container. Closing her eyes with a small smile, she quickly replied. Think nothing of it. You know, the way you act sometimes, it's like you are the closest thing I've ever had to a mother. She said with a small giggle. And you are the daughter I've never had, young one. Sure, you can be a pain in my ass, a little dense and don't always think things through, but that's common among you humans. Chomei never thought she would be saying this to someone she was sealed into against her will, but Fu was different. And it's not like Fu had any choice in the matter either, for she was just a baby when the sealing took place by her own biological mother. If that's not fair, then what is? But it wasn't until the girl was 5 that she started looking at things differently. Flashback 7 years ago. It was a cold, rainy day in Takigakure. Hardly anyone was outside, besides a few shinobis. Inside a small secluded house near a small hill was a 5-year-old Fu laying in her bed staring at the ceiling, tabbing her feet together, bored out of her wits. It was bad enough that she couldn't play outside, but to have no one else around to talk to made time go by too slowly. Getting up, she started ranting. Why does it have to rain? I want to climb a tree and play lookout or something. This sucks. The young girl yelled to herself before throwing herself onto her bed again. Keep it down, you little brat. I'm trying to sleep for Cammy's sake. Huh? Who's there? Fu said as she sat up, looking at her door, thinking someone just walked in without knocking. When she saw there was no one there, she tilted her head in confusion. You won't find me out there, larva. I'm here. The voice she never heard before spoke again. Who are you? Where are you? I guess it is time you learned. Allow me to show you. Before she could react, Fu was suddenly in a much darker room than she was before. She could barely see anything, which terrified her, being afraid of the dark in general. She was in a place she never was, in a way that she couldn't understand. She also knew that she wasn't alone, which only made her more scared. "Over here. Come closer." 8 orbs, which could be eyes, then started to glow, making them the only thing that the child could see. "Where am I? Where am I?" she begged in a frightened voice. "I said come here. I won't say it again." The stranger growls in annoyance. Nodding quickly with fear still obvious on her face, she started to slowly move her right leg. After a couple of seconds, she finally got herself to start walking toward the voice that belonged to whomever brought her here. "Okay, I'm coming," she stuttered. The voice sounded fiercer than any other she ever heard, like it belonged to a giant of some sort. Well, she wasn't that far off. After a short walk, she suddenly bumped into something. Ow, what was that? That would be one of the many bars of my cage larva. "'Bout time you got over here. Who are you? How did I get here? Where is here? Please tell me." Then, without warning, like someone flicked a switch, the room suddenly lit up and she could see her surroundings. Walls to the left, walls to the right, a bland colored ceiling and a dirty floor. Turning her head into the direction she was originally facing, she saw the cage she bumped into. And behind the bars was something she was not expecting to see. Before her, behind the bars, was a humongous insect. It was gray with 3 legs on each side, pincers, a big horn at the crown of its head, 8 eyes with an orange glow, 6 orange wings and a green tail. Its gray body seemed to be like a set of armor. "Now, I'll explain everything to you, but you cannot interrupt me." "Understood?" the insect said very sternly. Without a second in between, Fu quickly nodded. "Good. To begin, the place we are in is your mind larva. And I am the Nanabi beast, as you humans call me. I was imprisoned here against my will by that woman you could have called mother shortly after you were born. You've always wondered why most people avoid you and won't let you do many of the things you wish to do. Well, this is why. They see you as a monster because I'm inside you. Do you understand what I just told you?" Fu just stood there with blank eyes, trying her best to comprehend what she was just told. Now everything made sense, the whispers as she walked by anyone, a glare once in a while, why she never got to hang out with anyone around her age, why some of the shinobis usually tailed her everywhere she went, etc. She never would have guessed this was the reason. Suddenly she looked deep into the eyes of her guest, and asked the first thing that came to her. "Why did they seal you inside me? Why me?" "Because your village sees me as their most powerful weapon and I won't serve them willingly. And you were chosen because you were the only baby at the time. You said you are the Nanabi, right? Do you have a name?" "I do. But why should it matter to you? You probably hate me for this. For your life of isolation," was the response. She had been sealed before and her previous container would complain and describe their hatred of her every day. But what Fu said surprised her. Something she never thought she would hear from a human. "No, I don't hate you. Why would I hate you? It is not your fault this happened to us. And I want to know your name because I want to be your friend," she said with a smile. "But why? Don't you think I am a monster? Don't I frighten you, as I do your village? Why would you want to friends with a demon that has made your life hard? Because you are lonely inside my mind, aren't you? And I'm lonely in my own home. And I'm not scared of you anymore, in fact I think you look pretty cool. And those meanies made my life hard, not you." The Nanabi looked deep into Fu's eyes as if looking into her soul. When she saw that there were no hate or resentment in those eyes, she started to think of her host differently. She lost hope in humanity many years ago, but this little girl might just restore her faith. Such innocence. Something I haven't seen here in generations. Only my father, the sage of 6 paths, gave me a smile like that. She then finally spoke. "Very well, young larva. Let's be friends. My name is Chomei," she said in a much calmer voice. Chomei then extended one of 6 legs through the bars of her cage in front of Fu. "Stop calling me larva. My name is Fu," she replied with a cute pout. But then raised her right hand and shook the hand that was in front of her. End flashback. Ever since then, every day they talked about everything. Chomei told Fu of her past, and Fu would always tell Chomei what's going on with her life. Sure, it wasn't always great, but it was nice to have someone who understands and listens to you. Chomei was interrupted from her thoughts suddenly when Fu spoke to her. "Well, let's get going. I'm excited to see a different town for a change." "Shush, not so loud, ambitious one. Let's just go in quietly." You know what to do if things get out of hand? Sigh, yes yes. Now stop worrying already please? She asked a little annoyed. Well, it would be nice if I didn't have to sometimes, but I'm not holding my breath. And with that, Fu put her headband in her bag and hid it inside an opening in the tree she stood next to. She then started walking towards the village. But that walking soon turned into jogging, which then turned into running. She was excited to see what this place has to offer and she was starving. Within minutes she was at the entrance where she was greeted by two guards who held up their arms. Halt! State your business here, one of the guards demanded. Like anyone with this post, he was not about to let someone just walk in like they owned the place. I'm just a traveler seeking a place to stay for the night. And maybe do a little sightseeing here tomorrow. I promise I won't be any trouble. Fu replied with a foxy grin. This caused the guard to raise an eyebrow at her. You will be searched for anything that might be dangerous. Put your hands up, he said walking up in front of her. Fu complied and said, no need to worry. All I have is a kunai to defend myself. That's it. Then without warning the other guard who happened to be female came up behind her and removed the cloak and took the small bag strapped to her side and went to the small table that was off to the side to inspect it. All that was in there was a change of clothes, a kunai and some money. After she had everything laid out and saw everything, she filled the bag back up and handed it back to Fu along with the cloak. Very well. You may go in, but if you attack anyone, you will be placed under arrest. You understand? She said in a calm manner but with a not-so-trusting face. Fu nodded. Of course. Like I said, no need to worry. In fact, how about all three of us take a bath together and dinner? She asked innocently with a smile. She then heard something inside her said that sounded something along the lines of, baka. No thanks. It would not be appropriate. Now, please, just go in. The male guard said as he was stepping back away from her like she had the plague. This of course confused Fu. Why not? We could become friends. I see nothing wrong with it. No, you are underage and I'm married. The guard yelled. And his wife happens to be me. Now just go in before we change our mind. The other guard yelled at the top of her lungs, pointing her spear at the tanned girl. Okay, please don't. Fu was now nervous, waving her arms defensively in the air. Could you please point that someplace else? The guard did so and walked up to signal to open the gate. Then they were opened, allowing Fu to enter. She walked through in a hurry. Once the gates closed behind her, she released the air she held inside in relief. Remind me never to ask an adult that ever again, Chomei. She said in her head. Damn right, I'll remind you, baka. It's fine to bath with girls around your age at like say a hot spring, but don't ever do that with a man unless he is your age and with a swimsuit. Chomei said in a motherly tone. You don't have to tell me twice. But let's not let this ruin the evening, she said as she put her cloak back on and started to walk the streets. After walking around and taking in what she was looking at, her stomach growled and she blushed in embarrassment. But by some coincidence she was standing in front of a small restaurant that was still open. This looks like it could be good. She opened the doors and walked up to the stand where she was greeted by the chief, a middle-aged man. He was humming and wiping the counter with a wet towel, then stopped when she appeared before him. Hello young one, how may I help you? He asked with a smile. Hi there, I'm new here, so what would you recommend I get? Fu asked, unsure of herself. Well, I personally prefer the yakitori, which is pieces of chicken on a stick. Simple and yet quite good. What do you say? He replied. This got Fu to bring a finger next to her mouth as she started up and thought. She never had chicken before. On the other hand, she did want to try many different things. After a few seconds of thinking, she turned her attention back to the chief and gave him her answer. Sure, why not? She said. Alright then, one order of yakitori coming right up. It'll be just a few minutes, the chief said as he walked back to the back to get started on it. After a couple of minutes he came back with her dish, a dipping sauce and a glass of water. I hope you enjoy this. Oh boy, that looks good, Fu yelled with excitement as her eyes lit up. She took the first skewer and immediately took in her first bite. She let out a small noise of happiness, she liked it. She then started inhaling them one after another. Hey, easy there. Take your time and enjoy every bite, plus it's not good for you to eat that fast. The chief told her like a teacher giving a student a small lecture. Fu said with her mouth full. After she swallowed, she took his advice and started to eat more slowly. She agreed that it was better this way. It's just that I've never had anything like this before. Oh, and where are you from, young one? he asked, now intrigued. Might as well talk with her to help pass the time. But he then noticed that she was ignoring him. So he asked her again. I said, where are you from? Fu stopped eating and replied. Oh, well, I'm from a place where people didn't treat me well. So, now I'm a travel who wants to see the world. So, like a nomad? Yeah, I guess you could say that. What is a nomad? She asked in confusion. This caused the chief to fall back in disbelief. He got back up. A nomad is basically what you described. He said. Oh. Fu nervously laughed, scratching the back of her head in embarrassment. They continued to talk for quite some time until Fu finished her dinner. She rubbed her exposed stomach. Wow, that was great, she said blissfully. So, how much do I owe you? But to her surprise, the chief shook his head. This time it's on the house. He said, giving her a smile. What's your name, young lady? I'm Fu, she said, returning her smile, and held her hand out, to which he gladly shook. And I am Saito. Well, Fu, thank you for making my night interesting, but I think perhaps you should be on your way. If you just turn the corner on the right as you exit, you'll find the hotel. Thank you, Saito. And good night, Fu said as she gave the elderly man a slight bow in respect and ran out. Wish I could be young again. Oh well. And with that, he took her dishes back to start cleaning them and then head on home. Outside, Fu appeared out of the restaurant and started heading toward the hotel to get a room to sleep in. She turned and there it was, just as Saito said it would be. She walked through the doors and went up to the desk to ask for a room. She gave the clerk 500 ryo for the night and went to her room to shower and get some rest in preparation for tomorrow, which she was excited for. Kohanagakure no Sato, village hidden in the leaves. Just inside the office of the Hokage mansion, a plan was being conceived. Tsunade sat behind her desk. Standing before her were Jiraiya, Kakashi, Kurenai, Shizune, Asuma, Team Guy, Inochi with his daughter Ino, Shikaku with his son Shikamaru, Shuza with Choji in a standing but needed support, and Shibi with his son Shino. Also in the room was Hinata, but it wasn't easy to separate her from Naruto. Alright, let's get started. We have much to discuss, Tsunade said to the people present before her. As you are all aware, Sasuke Uchiha tried to leave the village and go to my former teammate Orochimaru. So, I sent a team lead by Chunin Shikamaru Nara to bring him back here. Tsunade said, looking at Shikamaru, who nodded at her in acknowledgement. Shikamaru, your first mission as a Chunin was a success. With the aid of Lee, Gaara and his siblings, the Sound 4 have been illuminated. While there were injuries, there were no casualties, and Sasuke has been defeated and brought back by Naruto, she said with a little pride. While she was sad about what has happened in the meeting, she was still proud of the blonde who convinced her to return. Shikamaru, Choji, Neji, Lee and Tenten, who didn't know this beforehand, all had smiles on their faces. I knew he could do it. Hard to believe how things have changed since our academy days, eh, Shikamaru? Choji said, turning to his best friend. Thank you, Lady Tsunade, but I imagine that this isn't the only reason we were brought here. Shikamaru replied after a short while. This did not surprise Tsunade at all. 'Cause while he was lazy at the academy, he has shown that he could have been the Rookie of the Year, if he cared enough to put in the effort. This caused her to be more serious, with her chin resting on her hands. You are correct, and I'm afraid this is where the good news ends. What is the bad news if the mission worked out, my lady? Asked Ino. The slug Sanin let out a sigh, preparing to drop the news about Naruto and Hinata. Well, after Naruto brought back Sasuke and both were taken to the hospital, a council meeting was called to determine the fate of them. I wanted to promote Naruto and place Sasuke under house arrest with his chakra sealed. However, most of the councilors overruled me and have sentenced Naruto to life in Hozuki Castle, also known as the Blood Prison, while Sasuke is getting a slap on the wrist while continuing his shinobi career. Everyone who didn't already know the news stared at her with looks of shock and sadness. Those that did know looked down at the floor in anger, enraged that those bastards could do this to a shinobi who was only doing his duty and accomplished his mission. This village had truly become a shadow of its former self. If the Shodai and the Nidaime could see it now, they would be very disappointed. But the one feeling the worst out of all of them was Hinata. As soon as she heard the news, tears started to form in her eyes. She had seen how her blonde crush was treated about all of their lives, but this was taking it way too far. Sure, he used force to bring back the traitor, But he was forced to do so and he didn't deserve this. She fell to her knees, brought her hands to her face and was bawling her eyes out in great anguish. Hinata's cries echoed in the room as everyone gave her sympathetic looks. It was no secret to anyone there that she loved Naruto, while the reason why remained a mystery to them. Kurenai separated herself from the rest of the Junins and hugged her student. It went on for a couple of minutes until it slowly stopped. "Why?" she yelled, all of a sudden shocking everyone. She never yelled before in her life. "Why must Naruto-kun be punished? He doesn't deserve this or any of his sufferings," she screamed, looking at her Hokage. "I'm sorry, Hinata. The council overpowered me at the end." But what Tsunade was going to say was interrupted by the dark-haired Hyuga. "I don't want to hear your damn excuses. I want to know why Naruto-kun has suffered all his life. What did he ever do to this place?" Hinata yelled in anger and sadness, once again shocking everyone in the room. No one had ever seen her like this before. Normally, Tsunade would get angry if someone insulted her like that. However, given the situation, she let it slide. She closed her eyes in regret, which made the present members of the Rookie 12 look at her wanting an answer too. "With all due respect, Lady Tsunade, I believe we have the right to know too." "Why?" "Because Naruto is our friend and it is illogical for someone to be treated as a pariah when all we've seen him do is harmless pranks," Shino said. While he and Naruto hardly interacted, he respected him for who he was. "I agree, Lady Tsunade. Surely it can't be that bad, right?" stated Neji, backing up Shino. Which got nods from the rest of the teens. "I suppose I should tell them. They have clearly shown that they care for him and I don't think they would hate him like those idiot civilians do," Tsunade thought to herself. She opened her eyes and looked at everyone with a serious look. "Very well, what I'm about to tell you all is rank secret. You remember what you were told in the academy about how the Yondaime died killing the Kyuubi on October 10, 13 years ago? They nodded in reply. "Well, what you were told was a lie," Tsunade said, surprising them. "What do you mean a lie? And what does that have to do with Naruto?" Ino asked her superior. "Everything. The truth is that as powerful as the Yondaime was, he could not defeat one of the tailed beasts when the whole village could not. So instead, he did the only thing he could do to save the village. He sealed the beast in a newborn infant. That infant was Naruto," she said, finally letting the cat out of the bag. The members of Rookie 12 minus Shino were looking at her with wide eyes. While you could not see Shino's eyes, his bugs were buzzing, showing a reaction to the news. Hinata felt even worse than before. However, Shikamaru was showing his usual face, which didn't go unnoticed by anyone. "Shikamaru, does this not surprise you?" Jiraiya asked in confusion. Shikamaru shook his head. "No, it doesn't. I mean, think about it. Growing up we have seen the villagers give him glares. There's the sign saying, 'No foxes allowed,' with his picture on many of the restaurants and stores, and his birthday is the same day as the attack. It's kind of obvious. If you knew, why didn't you say anything?" Hinata yelled at him with her Byakugan activated. "Troublesome. Hinata, it was Naruto's business, though I doubt he knew at the time. And when I asked my father about it, he said that he, Inochi, Shuza and Shibi sided with the Hokage to try and help him. However, they were threatened to be charged with treason by the majority of the council and couldn't do much about it. But that didn't stop them from trying to adopt him. And if I had told you and someone else overheard me, then they would have spread that information around and things would have been far worse for Naruto at the academy. Our classmates would have a reason to treat him as their parents did, even though they did anyway." He explained to everyone. It made sense to everyone. Flawless logic from the heir to the smartest clan in all of Konoha. Neji looked ashamed. Looking back, he regretted what he said to Naruto in the Chunin exams, about not knowing what it means to suffer and to be cursed for your life. Truth is, Naruto did know and suffered so much more than himself. Ino looked down in shame. She was no different than the rest of her class. Calling Naruto names, tripping him in the hallways, ridiculing him when he did something wrong, trying his best, making him feel like he was nothing. Shino was the closest one in the room who could relate to Naruto. Having something placed in you at birth without your consent. Not that he wasn't proud to be in his clan, but regardless. And I'm afraid the bad news does not end there. Hinata, your father has determined that you are to be branded with the caged bird curse seal, and be stripped of your title as heiress of the Hyuga clan," Kurenai said as she helped her student off the ground. Hinata now was scared. She didn't think today could get any worse, but it did. But why? Because you attacked Sakura and defended Naruto's honor. For that he sees you as a traitor to the village by standing up for him. Her sensei replied to her, giving her a comforting hug. Hinata returned the hug and once again cried. All her life she wanted her father's love and acceptance, but knew that now it would never happen. But don't worry Hinata, I will not let that happen to you. And I will not sit by and let Naruto get imprisoned for doing his job. Tsunade said with determination. What's the plan, love? Asked Jiraiya. This discussion does not leave this room. Shikamaru, if you or any of your classmates wish to exit the room and not get involved, I will not hold it against any of you. There was a long pause that followed that statement. Before anyone else could speak, Shikamaru stepped forward and made a statement of his own. Hokage-sama, I believe I speak for everyone here when I say this. To hell with the council's judgment. I wish to help my friends in any way possible. This caused the rest of the rookies to nod at each other and they stepped forward too. Looking at this brought a smile to the adults' faces. Perhaps there is still some hope with this new generation, thought Jiraiya with a smile. Alright everyone, listen up, Tsunade said, gathering everyone's attention. When Naruto wakes up, he will be escorted to the council chambers where he will be informed about his sentence. I will be present and be the one to inform him. Meanwhile, you all will get out of the village through a tunnel network that only I and Jiraiya know about, for it was the tunnel that Orochimaru used to enter the village during the Chunin exams. When Naruto is taken out of the village by the shinobis assigned by the council, you will intercept them about 5 miles away from the village. Blood Prison is in the west, that's the direction you all will head in. Any questions? Lady Tsunade, let's say that we do free Naruto, what will happen after that? Surely we can't return to the village after doing this. Tenten finally spoke up. I have already planned this out. You see, Naruto has his own land to the east. This shocked everyone in the room. Lady Tsunade, surely you don't mean, Kakashi began but was cut off. I sure do Kakashi. Whirlpool. What's Whirlpool? Asked Hinata. You see, Whirlpool was the home of the Uzumaki clan before the major were wiped out in the Second Great Shinobi War. However, a few survived, including Kushina Uzumaki, former heiress of the clan and Naruto's mother. Tsunade explained to them. The younger generation's eyes widened to the size of saucers. I have here Naruto's heritage from his parents. It was to be given to him when he either turned 16 or became a Chunin. And seeing as how I felt he was ready for that rank, I believe it is finally time. 3 scrolls suddenly appeared on the table, 2 of which had the same symbol as on the back of a Chunin's vest, and the third had a symbol no one but Tsunade, Kakashi and Jiraiya knew of. So, when we free Naruto, we basically make Uzushiogakure our new home and help Naruto restore it? Shikamaru asked. Yep, that's the plan. Everyone is dismissed. Remember, speak to no one else about this except yourselves. Prepare yourselves for the journey to Wave and then on to Uzushiogakure. Except for Team Guy. Why is that? Guy asked his superior. Because, I need you and your team here in the village. I can't send all of my best shinobi there. Everyone else should be enough. She replied, to which all of Team Guy reluctantly nodded to the order given. Now then, everyone is dismissed. Be ready. Everyone nodded and left the room one by one. Konoha Hospital, Naruto's recovery room. Naruto was still asleep, wrapped up in bandages. To Naruto's left was the Konohamaru Corps, for they looked up to him as an older sibling. Off in the corner to his left watching from the shadow was Gaara, guarding him. They hoped that their blonde friend would walk up sooner than the Hokage said he would. Inside Naruto's mindscape, "Hey Kit," said the Kyuubi looking at his container. "Oi furball," Naruto exclaimed grinning. "Thanks for your help back there." "Stop calling me that," shouted the irritated fox. "Well, what am I supposed to call you? Do you have a name besides Kyuubi? You have not yet earned the right to know my name. For now, you shall address me as the Kyuubi, you brat." The fox said. "Well, whatever. Anyway, thanks for the help," said Naruto. Though he did not like, nor did he trust the Kyuubi, but he was still grateful for his help nonetheless. "Whatever Kit, it was stupid of you to make that promise in the first place. That bitch doesn't deserve you in her life," stated the fox. "Tell me about it. I wasted so much time chasing after her. Maybe I should have looked elsewhere," Naruto said, looking down at his reflection in the water. But he jerked his head up when he started to hear someone clapping. "For once Kit, you're right. Congratulations, the Kyuubi said to him with a small smirk as if ready to laugh. Hey, Naruto shouted in annoyance. Well, it's true, kid. While you chased after someone who didn't care about you, you have had a secret admirer. She has watched you since you were younger and is always supporting you. Kami knows why. What are you talking about? What girl in her right mind would care about me? Asked a very confused Naruto. You idiot, isn't it obvious? The Kyuubi shouted. He had grown to respect his jailer a little bit, but sometimes he was dumber than a bag of rocks. Allow me to show you. Suddenly, a wormhole appeared above them on the right-hand wall. It showed Naruto training when he was about 6 years old. However, the Kyuubi made it move a little and there, Naruto saw a small figure standing behind a tree. When he looked more closely, he saw that his spectator was none other than a girl about his age with dark blue hair, little purple eyes and dress in a dark outfit. It was Hinata Hyuga, his classmate from the academy. He was shocked to say the least. He only knew her as a dark, shy, quiet girl who stuttered a lot and turned red when he was around. Reality finally hit him, as it all became perfectly clear to him. He felt so stupid, for it was so obvious. However, his thoughts were interrupted as the wormhole began to show another scenario. He saw many things from Hinata attempting to approach him during lunch times, supporting him whenever he fought Sasuke and other things from the academy. But it was the next thing he saw that had the biggest impact on him. It was slightly darker, for this was in the nighttime. Naruto saw himself, again at the age of 6, being beaten within an inch of his life by a group of villagers. There were some Anbu watching from above, but they did not interfere. In fact, they were cheering them on to keep going. After a few minutes, the villagers spat at the poor kid and left laughing at their accomplishment. After they left, Hinata appeared again, turning over the downed Naruto and looking him over. Tears quickly came to her eyes as she saw the damage the villagers did to her crush. Naruto-kun, I'm so sorry I could not help you, she said as the tears came down her face and landed on the ground next to Naruto's face. Hang in there, I'll take you to the Hokage, she declared as she attempted to pick him up and immediately failed and slightly collapsed. But suddenly, she heard a voice behind her. I thought I told you to stay away from that boy, daughter. Upon hearing this, Hinata turned around and saw his father towering over her, with his Byakugan activated. She was now scared. But father, he needs help, and she never got to finish as she got slapped across the face. Silence. You are my daughter, and I will not have you associating with the likes of him, Hiyashi stated very sternly. Now, we are going home, where you will be punished before you go to bed. He then grabbed her hand and started pulling her. I'm so sorry, Naruto-kun. I'm so useless, Hinata thought as another tear escaped her eyes as she and her father walked away. And with that, the wormhole started fading away until it was completely gone. Now do you get the picture, kid? I could show you more examples if you wish, said the Kyuubi. No, that's enough, Naruto said, not even looking at the demon. He couldn't help but feel really guilty. He had been seeking the attention of a girl who didn't care what happened to him instead of paying more attention to something that was right in front of his eyes. Kyuubi, I didn't realize. What must I do? Talk to her, kid. Take time to get to know her, show her that you do deserve her in your life. But why are you helping me all of a sudden? Don't you hate me? Asked Naruto. I do not hate you, kid, I just hate being sealed inside you. Besides, I've known you all your life, and to be honest I feel a little sorry for you. No child should go through what you have. Besides, you have a pure heart and I see no reason why you can't be happy, said the Kyuubi, shocking Naruto. Nodding his head, Naruto then turned to the fox and smiled while wiping some tears in his eyes. Thank you for opening my eyes. You're actually not as bad as others have said. Don't get any ideas, kid. Just because I'm helping you does not make us friends, declared the Kyuubi as he growled. I never said we were Kyuubi. But perhaps someday that might happen. Don't get your hopes up, brat. Anyway, your Chidori wound is now fully healed. Just try to not to get killed again. Hi, no way I'm dying anytime soon, Naruto said with his traditional grin. But suddenly, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and came face to face with someone he never met, but was very aware of. Before him stood the man that sealed the Kyuubi into him in the first place, but despite that he greatly admired him and was his inspiration to becoming Hokage. The Yondaime looked down and smiled. I couldn't be any prouder of you. Naruto just stood there speechless, unsure of what to make of this. His hero was in his mindscape and he didn't know how. This was his mind after all. Behind him, he heard the Kyuubi growled in anger. Minato. It's been a while, Kyuubi. But unfortunately I'm not here to talk to you. For I am here to talk with my son. Minato declared, looking at the trap-tailed beast. Naruto was even more shocked. Never in his life would he have guessed that the man he looked up to more than anyone else in the world was his own father. He always wondered who and where his parents were if they were still alive. He had asked the Sandaime many times when he was younger, but was always told that he couldn't tell him. He tried to speak but could not for some reason or another. I know that was a little sudden, but if you come with me I can explain and show you everything. Minato said as he crouched down a little and offered Naruto his hand. Naruto slowly accepted the Yondayame's hand and the two started to walk before they were suddenly in a different kind of place. And there, they began to have their first talk where all of Naruto's questions would be answered. As Tsunade started gathering some more papers she would need later on for her plans, she noticed that her teammate Jiraiya was still in the room. I assume you have more things you wish to discuss. She said, indeed love. Say this all works out and they make it to Uzushiogakure, won't they be completely vulnerable over there? What if Kiri, Iwa or Kumo attacks when word gets out, like they did in the Second Shinobi War? Jiraiya asked. Do not worry Jiraiya, I've thought everything through. Think about it. Naruto has played a key role in us getting alliances with Suna, Wave and Snow. I'm sure that they would be more than happy to form an alliance with him and be ready to aid them if needed. And, if he is willing to do so, I'm going to propose to renew the alliance Leaf once held with Whirlpool back when this village was founded by my grandfather after Naruto and the others restore it. Tsunade explained. Jiraiya thought it over for a few seconds and nodded in agreement. But that wasn't the end to his questions. But what if the council places them all in the bingo book when they all leave and attempt to overrule you? Surely you've thought this through too. Indeed I have. I have sent a message to the Daimyo informing him what has happened. I'm just now waiting for a reply from him. As for the ones leaving, I'm having them sign forms of resignation and permission to leave, and return if at any time they choose to do so. I have plans to take the council's power away from them. This village was originally a dictatorship, not a democracy. The Hokage's word is law. Their roles are to make suggestions to me, and I make the choices. But I'll need your help in this plan. Smiling, Jiraiya gave his answer. Of course my love, I'll always stand by your side even if everyone else in the village is against you. Smiling in return she continues. Good, I also will change how the academy works. It's a total joke compared to when we were there. The civilian council has lowered the standards so much and has taken so much of the history and classes out of it, such as medical which was an option back then. She said with disgust. Tell me about it. When I was training Naruto for the Chunin exams, I was shocked that he didn't know the water walking exercise, didn't know what his chakra nature was, and that he only learned the tree walking exercise on his last mission. We knew all of that before we left the academy. I knew that stuff and I was the dead last of our batch. He replied, that's another thing I'm changing. No more Rookie of the Year or Dead Last. Those titles are meaningless to a shinobi's career. And from now on teams will be determined in different ways. I'll reveal them later. For now, I'm going to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. You got that right. But then Jiraiya had his usual grin on his face. Would you like a quick glass of sake before that? Tsunade popped a blood vessel. She knew exactly what he meant by that. After all, this wasn't the first time Jiraiya made an attempt like this on her, and it probably won't be the last. You perverted idiot, she yelled as she grabbed him and threw him out one of her windows. However, Jiraiya landed on the ground with ease. Nice try, he said waving at her, but his attitude soon changed as she jumped out the window was descending down on him with his right arm stretched out. The slug Sanin yelled out a war cry as her fist found its mark and drove Jiraiya into the ground, creating a big hole in the courtyard. After everything settled down, Tsunade emerged from the hole and walked back angrily into the building. Emerging about a minute after that from the hole was a bruised Jiraiya with a bloody nose. On the streets of Konoha about a minute earlier, Kurenai and Hinata walked side by side down the quiet streets toward Kurenai's apartment. She would not let Hinata out of her sight. As they were walking, Kurenai decided to break the silence. We are almost there, Hinata. Then we can get some sleep. We have a long couple of days ahead of us starting tomorrow. She looked over and saw that Hinata was deep in thought about something. Hinata? Still no response. A little annoyed, she raised her voice. Hey Hinata. This ended her daydream. Hey what? Did you say something Kurenai-sensei? The young Hyuga asked. Oh forgot it. The red-eyed woman responded, shanking her head a little with a smile. Your mind is not on sleep. You're daydreaming about a certain blonde with whisker marks, aren't ya? Blushing a little, Hinata started pressing her index fingers together like she usually does whenever Naruto was brought up. Maybe a little. I want to tell him how I feel, BB, but I don't know how sensei. Kurenai reached her hand out and grabbed Hinata's hand. Don't worry Hinata. After what happened today, I'm sure his feelings for Sakura are a thing of the past. And I noticed that he addressed you with Chan after you defended him. Who knows, maybe he sees something in you. But, best not to worry about it now. You can tell him after everything works out and we are out of this place. Okay? Okay sensei. They were about to walk again, when suddenly they heard a yell and then a huge cloud of smoke emerged over by the Hokage building. Hinata looked at her with some concern, but that changed to a look of confusion when she saw her shaking her head. That man never learns. She noticed her student's expression and mouthed the word, later. And so they continued on their way until they came to Kurenai's apartment complex. They entered and prepared to get some needed sleep. Naruto's mindscape. Minato stood a few feet away from Naruto as he explained and showed everything that happened the night the Kyuubi attacked Konoha. Why the tailed beast attacked the village, why he used his son for the ceiling, everything. As he explained, Naruto's face changed from confusion to shock with a couple of tears going down his face. And of course I'm here because I sealed some of my chakra inside you with my final breath. Does this all make sense to you? Minato asked his son, who got just a small nod in reply. He lowered his head in shame. I'm so sorry. I never wanted this for you. I never wanted any of this for you. I wish I could have been there for you, to support you, to comfort you when you were sad, to love you as any father should, but I couldn't. If you hate me, I don't blame you one bit. I hate myself for putting this burden on you. The older blonde said as tears of his own started falling from his face. Naruto watched as his father cried. Many emotions going through his head, pity, anger, anguish, but surprisingly happiness too. Pity for his father who felt guilty for all those hardships that befell him. Anger towards the masked man who extracted the Kyuubi from his mother, caused the attack and caused so much damage on him and many other families. Anguish as his childhood resurfaced in his mind. And happiness for finally learning who his parents were and that they truly did love him. He wiped his eyes and started walking forward. Minato heard Naruto walking toward him, but he did not raise his head up. He was preparing himself for a punch to the face or stomach, or some yelling. But what did happen was something he was hoping for. Before he could react, he was engulfed in a hug given to him by his son. Please, don't hate yourself. It's not your fault, none of this is your fault. I don't hate you at all. You did what you had to do in that moment. And nothing can make me happier knowing that you, the greatest Hokage of Konoha and the man I looked up to more than anyone, is my father. I'll always look up to you. Naruto said as he hugged his father with all of his might, and fresh new tears went down his cheeks. But these were tears of happiness. Minato smiled after hearing those words. He embraced his 13-year-old and let his tears fall down as well. This was their first hug and he wanted it to last as long as possible. After a few minutes the two separated themselves and wiped away their tears. So, would you like to get to know your old man? Minato asked. You bet. Could you tell me how you got so powerful? Maybe how you met Mom. What did it feel like to be Hokage? Or maybe what your childhood was like? Or, Naruto rambled on in excitement as his eyes lit up. But he was interrupted when Minato raised his hand in a sign that said, stop, and Minato chuckled a little. Of course, son. Just please, one question at a time. Right, sorry. Naruto replied with a little chuckle too. Then, the first question I asked. Minato nodded with a smile and began to explain how he got to where he was before he died. He showed parts of his childhood before he entered the academy, how he met Jiraiya and become his apprentice, creating the Rasengan, creating the move that gave him the name of Yellow Flash, the day he became Hokage, and of course where the idea of Naruto's name came from and that Jiraiya is his godfather. Naruto watched everything in awe. He learned a great deal about his father from the classes Iruka taught in the academy, but not in this much detail. After watching everything, he then asked his father his next question again. So, how did you meet Mom and what was she like? Well, we met when we were still students in the academy. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She came from Uzu Shiogakure after it was attacked in the Second Great Shinobi War. She had the same attitude you did. She found lectures to be boring, she had the dream of becoming Hokage, and she had a deep love for ramen. But she had quite a temper whenever someone made fun of her red hair and called her tomato. She got the nickname Red Hot Habanero because she beat up anyone who made fun of her hair. Minato said as he showed Naruto a couple of examples from their academy days. However, she was kind and wanted to help others in need. You may have my good looks, but you have her personality. If you ask me, that's a great combo. She sounded like a wonderful woman. So, what made you two fall in love? Well, I did think she was cute when we were younger, but we didn't really talk much. But as the next couple of years went on, we developed a small friendship. But one night, that all changed forever. Minato replied as he showed Naruto the events of the night that Kushina was almost kidnapped by a shinobi of another village and how he saved her when they were genins. Wow, Dad, even as a kid you were amazing. Naruto said. Well, I try. The older blonde replied, scratching the back of his head a little. Is she here like you, by any chance? Naruto asked, hoping to hear another positive answer. But what he got instead was an answer that just raised further questions. No. She was too exhausted to do so, and as you saw, she was badly wounded from aiding me in subduing the fox. I summoned a toad to take her to them since no one else was around where we were at. I don't know if she survived or not, and if she did, I wonder where she went. I would ask Jiraiya as soon as you wake up, son. Naruto for his part was surprised. This was not the answer he expected to hear. The possibility that his mother was alive was something to go on, but he couldn't help but wonder that if she was, then why didn't she return to Konoha? Did she know that he was alive? All right, father. I will get to the bottom of this and tell you what I find out after I wake up. He said with new determination. Thank you. Hey Dad, do you think I can be great like you? Crouching down a little, he put his hands on Naruto's shoulders and looked into him in the eye. Son, I know you will be greater than me. You have the potential to be stronger than I ever was, but that is not the reason I am proud of you. I am proud of who you are. You are Naruto Uzumaki, or Namikaze if you want to carry on my name. Your will is stronger than anyone I've ever met before. Really? Really? And if your mother were here now, she would agree with me. You don't need to become Hokage to make everyone acknowledge you. Just continue to be who you are, a brave shinobi who will always be there for his precious people, a person who has compassion for others, and you don't let anything slow you down. You've made me proud, and I will always be proud of you, no matter what. Minato said as he pulled his son into another hug, which Naruto was more than happy to return. Naruto was so happy to hear such words from his father. The only other people who gave him such encouraging words were Iruka, Tuchi, Ayame and Jiraiya. Even if he never gained the acknowledgement he wanted from the villagers, he was happy knowing that he would always have their support. But then, he thought about the things Kyuubi showed him involving Hinata, which showed him that someone was watching him from the shadows. He broke the hug and asked his father another question with a serious look. Dad, can you give me advice on what I should do with Hinata? Surprised at first, Minato then grinned and nudged his son a bit. Oh, is someone in love with a Hyuga? This got the response he was expecting. Naruto then started to blush a little and turned his head in embarrassment. Dad, come on, I just found out how she felt about me and I don't know what to do. The older blonde chuckled a little bit. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But why ask me? Didn't the Kyuubi already tell you how to handle this? No, he gave me some advice, but I don't know how to approach her and how to interact with her. Okay, well, why not invite her for ramen, or walk around a secluded spot? Get to know her, like what's her favorite food, color, activities, and tell her some things about you that she might not know about yet, but nothing too personal yet. Start with that and see how things turn out. You don't have to date her, but just see if your feelings for her change at all. If they don't, you can just remain friends. Minato explained. He may have fallen in love under different circumstances, but that didn't mean he knew nothing about how to approach girls. I guess that makes sense. Thank you. I'll ask her the moment I see her. Naruto said. He may not know how things will turn out, but at least he had something to go on. So, since we still have time, may I ask you and the Kyuubi a few more questions? Why the Kyuubi too? Because there are some things I wish to know. And I don't know if you can answer some of my other questions." He nodded and brought them back to where they were earlier, in front of the Kyuubi. There, another theme of discussion was about to begin. Kusagakure no Sato, village hidden in the grass. It was now morning in the small country. Businesses were open, kids were running around doing all kinds of things, shinobis were out performing different tasks. Everyone was out and about enjoying the nice day. Well, except for a certain someone. Inside her hotel room, Fu still laid in bed asleep. The sun shined a little in the room through the curtains, so she pulled the covers over her face. "Time to wake up, Fu. It's morning," Chomei said to her container. What she got in return was an annoyed moan. "I don't want to wake yet. Let me sleep in." "Oh? So seeing the world is being put on hold? The world will still be here when I do eventually wake up. Right now I'm fucking tired. Maybe you shouldn't have stayed up so late then, eh? Maybe I don't want to follow a sleep schedule anymore. Did you ever think of that? Just because you no longer have to abide by those rules anymore, doesn't mean you get to be lazy. Now wake up." Fu let out a defeated sigh as she threw the covers over and rubbed the sleep out of her eyes. "You wouldn't know what it is like, you can sleep whenever you want. That's because unless you're in trouble I don't have to do anything. Now enough arguing. Come on, time to start another day." Yeah, I get it, just let me get dressed." And with that Fu got out of bed wearing a dark nightgown, grabbed her bag and went to the bathroom to get dressed and ready for the day. 5 minutes later she got out and walked out of her room leaving behind her black cloak. After another minute she got out of the hotel and started to look around in awe. "Yep, this is gonna be fun," she thought as she sprinted out into the open, anxious to experience new things. Running around the village, Fu was having the time of her life. Everything here was a new experience for her. Saying hi to people greeted her with a smile in return. Trying some more new foods she never had or knew existed, among a few other things. The tanned teen was now enjoying a warm bath in the village's hot springs. She laid her head back against the rock wall behind her and closed her eyes in relaxation, sighing in complete bliss. "This is the best day of my life so far. I hope to have more like this, Chomei. You can Fu. All you have to do is continue to blend in with the crowd and don't draw any attention to yourself." "But I shan't hold my breath," the giant insect replied to her container. The response from the girl was just a roll of her eyes before she closed them. She was enjoying herself, and she wasn't going to ruin this moment by instigating an argument over nothing. This went on for about 5 minutes, when suddenly a noise woke her up. Looking up, she saw 3 other girls roughly about her age. One was light-skinned with dark hair and green eyes. The next was slightly darker with brown hair with matching brown eyes. And the third and final girl looked like second one but with green eyes. Maybe those 2 are twins. Fu thought. "Hello there. Mind if we join you? We just got back from a very stressful mission, and we really need this. Plus, we could use the extra company." The dark-haired girl asked with a smile. Fu was so happy inside her head. This was the first time she was ever asked by someone to hang out, and by someone else as young as her no less. She stood up and gave her answer immediately. "Sure, come on in," she said with a lot of enthusiasm, surprising the other 3 occupants in the room. Realizing how she said it, she fake coughed in her hand. "Sorry, please come on in, it would be an honor," she said with a bow, just as Chomei taught her. She must be a little socially awkward. "Oh well, she at least seems nice," the girl who first spoke said, with the other 2 thinking somewhere along same lines. They then entered the room and immersed themselves in the nice relaxing hot spring. "So, what's your guys' names? I'm Fu, and I hope we can be friends." She extended her hand out, hoping one of them would shake it. She got her wish. One by one, they shook hands with her and introduced themselves one at a time. "Greetings, Fu. My name is Harumi Hamasaki," the girl with brown hair and green eyes said with a smile. "And I'm her twin sister, Narumi," the girl with brown hair and brown eyes said, also with a smile. "And I am Aina Namba," the girl with black hair and green eyes said. "It sure is nice to meet you all," Fu said smiling, in return for the ones she was given. "So, you said y'all just came back from a mission?" They all nodded. "Cool, what was it like?" It was so boring. All we did was go out to escort our feudal lord's wife on a little sightseeing. It would have been nice, if she wasn't constantly complaining about how hot it was." Harumi complained. "But hey, we got paid very well, and it was nice to get out of the village for a change," Aina said. I know how that feels. Fu muttered to herself. What about you? You're not from around here, are you? Narumi asked Fu. Fu's happiness dropped a little after being asked that. But, she gave her answer. No, I am not. I'm a visitor. It's my first time ever in this country. The girls noticed the way her facial expression changed. They knew something was up. What's wrong, Fu? Aina asked. It's nothing. Fu replied suddenly. Let's just say that I was not happy with where I lived. This surprised the three girls. She's hiding something, they all thought. They didn't want to push the matter any further, but they would later perhaps. Anyway, you said this is your first time here, right? Narumi asked. Yes. First day here, and first time I've been anywhere besides where I used to live. Fu answered honestly. Well, after we're done here, how about we have a girls' day out? Just the four of us? Narumi suggested, which got positive reactions from Fu and Aina, but not from Harumi. But sis, I wanted to go home and ignore the outside world for a few hours. We might have another stressful mission tomorrow after all. Harumi once again complained. However, her ranting was cut short as she was pulled away from the others by her sister, who started whispering to her. Come on, Harumi. You can do that any other time. And besides, she seems lonely. I think she could use some company tonight. Besides, you could try again to get closer to Aina. Narumi said, teasing her. This caused Harumi to blush a little. She had a crush on her since they first became a genin team a few months ago. But a couple of things have been holding her back. What if Aina didn't return her feelings? What if her confession jeopardized how they worked as a team? It was only recently that she decided to tell her and get it out of her system. But each time she had a plan, things would somehow always ruin her plan. She did indeed have another chance tonight, plus it did beat being in an empty house with no one else around, for their parents died a couple of years ago while out on a mission. Fine, I'll go, Harumi said, giving in to the request. But how can I if it's the four of us? Just leave it to me, sis, was Narumi's response, as she gave her a thumbs up. Now, shall we rejoin the others? Harumi nodded and swam back to Fu and Aina. They chatted more about things of little importance for a little while, until they decided that they had enough of bathing. They got out, dried off and got dressed. Fu was in her two-piece. Aina had on brown shinobi sandals, shim pants that matched her hair, fingerless gloves, a green long-sleeve shirt, gray sleeveless shirt over her green one, and a grass shinobi headband on her forehead. Harumi had blue shinobi sandals, dark blue shinobi pants, a red t-shirt with a dark blue jacket, and her headband was on her upper left arm. Narumi was in brown shinobi sandals, light brown shinobi pants, a fishnet vest with a brown love sleeve shirt over it, and finally with her headband on her forehead. After they finished, they exited the building. Well, ladies, what shall we do first? Aina asked. We could go shopping, Harumi suggested. That could be fun. I've never done that before, Fu said. This caused the girls' eyes to widen. You've never shopped before? Narumi asked in disbelief. Fu then started to feel awkward. She started rubbing her arm. Well, my clothes were always chosen for me without my consent, she answered half honestly. Your mom and dad never let you pick anything out? Aina asked. This caused Fu to look down in sadness. My mother died when I was born, and I never knew my father. All I know about him was that he was from another village. He met my mother during a Chunin exam that happened in Kumo about 15 years ago. At least that's what I was told. I never heard from him in all my life. She then felt something touch her shoulder. She looked up to see Aina giving her a sympathetic look. I'm so sorry, Fu. You must have had a difficult childhood, the raven-haired girl said. You've no idea, was all Fu said. Well, what better way to experience it than in a place you've never been in? You never know what you'll find, Harumi said with a smile, trying to lighten up the mood once again. She's right, Fu. So, shall we start with that store on the left? Narumi asked, pointing toward the first building on their left. However, she turned and saw that the tanned girl was no longer there. She turned again to see she already was standing at the entrance. What are y'all waiting for? Let's go, Fu cheered. The other girls shook their heads while smiling and then raced after their new friend. Once inside, Fu looked in awe at all the different fashions and colors displayed in front of her. There was so many things she wanted to try on, but there probably wouldn't be enough time in one night to try them all. Don't get carried away, Fu. You only have a certain amount of money, so don't use too much, Chomei said to her. I know, and I won't, Fu promised Chomei and herself. Fu, look at this. It completely matches your hair. Fu heard Narumi say. She turned around and she loved what she saw. A green dress that did indeed match her hair. She ran up to them, snatched up the piece of clothing and rushed over to ask where she could try it on. Narumi, I think you've created a monster. Harumi whispered. So? You saw how happy she was. I regret nothing, she replied, smiling with pride. They waited outside the dressing room for her. And when she emerged, boy was it a sight to see. The other girls stared at Fu, which made her feel a little uncomfortable. Is something wrong? Fu asked, confused. No, nothing is wrong. It suits you. How beautiful, Aina said with a smile, hoping this would make her feel better. It worked. This made the tanned girl smile once again. This was another life-changing thing for her. For no one ever told her that she looked beautiful before, well besides the Shibuki of Waterfall. She walked out and looked at herself in the mirror, and she liked what she saw. She had to have this dress. I wonder how much this is. Let me see, Narumi said. She walked up next to her and found the price tag on one of the straps. The price read 1,500 ryo. It's a little pricey, she said, showing it to her. Oh, well, it was nice trying it on. The tan girl pouted as she went back into the dressing room to take it off. She came back out in her regular clothes and went to return the dress to the racks. However, she was stopped by a hand grabbing her arm. It's okay, Fu. I've got you covered, Narumi said with a smile. Fu on the other hand was taken aback by this. But, you said yourself that it's pricey. And why would you get something for someone you hardly know? Because, I can tell how much you want it. Don't worry about it for now. If you want, you can pay me back in some way or form later on. The brown-eyed girl said, still smiling. The only thing Fu could think of doing was hugging the girl in front of her as a way of saying, thank you. This surprised Narumi, but in time she returned the brief hug and took possession of the dress until it was paid for. For now, there was so many other things to try on. The group of girls wandered around the whole place and examined many different things, deciding on what to try on. They tried out many different things over the next 2 hours. They tried on shinobi clothes, dress, casual clothes, etc. However, their fun was cut short when the store owner informed them that they would be closing very soon. At first disappointed, the girls then decided they needed to do something else anyways. With that they went up to pay for Fu's dress, and a couple of other things the grass shinobis picked out for themselves. Once done, they exited the store with bags in their arms and started wandering around trying to decide on what to do next. They then came across a photographer who asked if they wanted their picture taken. Accepting his offer, they sat down on a nearby bench in the following order. Fu, Narumi, Aina and finally Harumi, who blushing a little being this close to her crush. And of course, Aina wrapping her arm around her didn't help matters much. But shook her head trying to get rid of her blush. Okay, are you ladies ready? The photographer asked. You bet, all 4 girls stated. They all smiled, and then the flash went off. Alright, it'll be 50 ryo per picture. I would assume you each want one? The photographer asked. All 4 nodded, saying, yes. Aina volunteered to pay for them, but as she was getting out her money, Fu already beat her to the punch. Giving him 200 ryo, she turned around. Least I can do for what y'all are doing for me. Now, it'll take a few days to get them developed. Who am I sending them to? The twins raised their hands and wrote down their address. They thanked the man and he left. Well, what shall we do now? Fu asked. She got her answer, but not in words. Instead, she got a noise from one of the twins. Harumi's stomach growled as she blushed a little in embarrassment, holding her midsection. Well, I guess that answered that. Come on, I know a place that I tried last night, she said as she started leading the way to Saito's place. Once they arrived, the others instantly recognized it, for they once went there with their sensei when they first became a team. Once inside they were greeted by Saito, who seated them. They each had something different. Harumi had some ramen, Aina had a salad, Narumi had sushi which Fu thought looked disgusting, and lastly Fu got some miso soup. While they ate they continued to talk more about themselves. Fu was a little bit more open with them about her past, while also not revealing too much. The others talked stories of how they met in the academy but never really interacted much until they became a team, as well as telling Fu about some of their hobbies which included training. Aina was skilled with a special dagger passed down through her family. Harumi loved spending time with animals, and Narumi loved collecting and reading books. When they were finished with their food, they each paid for their meals respectively and left. It was starting to get dark when they got outside. Well, I think we should call it a night, girls, Aina said, much to her disappointment. Ah, I wanted this to last a little longer. Harumi complained. See, I told you you'd have fun, Narumi said as she wrapped an arm around her sister. Well, why don't we enjoy a final walk together? Fu suggested. Alright, in fact, how about we have a sleepover? Just cause it's dark doesn't mean the fun has to end, Narumi suggested, which got a positive reaction from everyone this time. Sounds great, but first, I need to grab the things I left at the hotel I'm staying at. Fu informed them. Very well, how about I go with Fu, and Harumi can go with Aina to set everything up? Narumi said, winking at her sis, who in return blushed again. But before her sister could retort, the brown-eyed girl spoke again. It's settled then. Ladies, let's move out, she said, raising her fist in the air, and thus they separated in their groups of two. Konohagakure no Sato, village hidden in the leaves. Konoha Hospital, Sasuke's recovery room. The last, loyal, Uchiha of the village laid unconscious in the hospital bed. To his right was Sakura stroking his hair with her right hand. The pink-haired girl had bags under her eyes due to lack of sleep. After the whole fiasco at the village gates, she brought him straight here, where medical personnel treated him immediately. She of course had to wait outside the room as they checked him over, much to her disappointment. It wasn't long, about 2 hours, give or take a few minutes, but to her it felt like an eternity. When she was finally allowed in, she never left his side. She wanted to be by his side the moment he woke up. As she stared down at the boy she loved, she couldn't help but remember another event that happened last evening between herself, her teacher, and the one she considered her best friend. Flashback. Shortly after Sakura was allowed into the room, she immediately looked at Sasuke, and then to the nurse still in the room. Will Sasuke-kun be okay? She asked the older woman. We would like to keep him here under observation for the next couple of days. But there is no permanent damage done. He should regain consciousness either tomorrow or the next day. It all depends on him now, the nurse said to the pink-haired teen, who had a worried look, which soon changed to a look of relief. Well, we've done all that we can do for now. I'll be back in the morning. Good night, she said with a slight bow, but she was suddenly in a hug which felt more like a death grip. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for saving Sasuke-kun, Sakura exclaimed with tears coming out her eyes, staining the nurse's coat. She was so happy that the boy she loved was back home and was going to be okay. Well, that's just swell. Isn't it, Sakura? She stopped hugging the nurse and looked towards the door. She knew that voice, and sure enough Kakashi and surprisingly and Ino stood at the door. She was glad they were here. Sure, she still felt a little betrayed by them for not siding with her before, but she was glad nonetheless. Kakashi-sensei, Ino, I didn't think you guys would actually come and see Sasuke-kun. She greeted them with a smile. But she was too ignorant to notice the scowl looks on their faces. We are not here to see that traitorous bastard, Ino yelled. This caused Sakura to stop right in her tracks. This is the last thing she expected to hear from the one she considered to be her rival, but also her best friend. They had both wanted the love and attention of Sasuke ever since their academy days. Where was this anger coming from all of a sudden? This got her angry too. Ino, how can you say that about Sasuke-kun? He's lucky, that's all I'm doing. If it were up to me, I'd finish him off once and for all, as Naruto should have done. The blonde retorted. Not wanting to get caught in the middle of all this, the nurse straightened herself up and ran out the room at lightning speed. Please, you're a fool if you think that idiot could possibly kill Sasuke-kun. In fact, I wish Sasuke-kun had killed him, Sakura said with venom in her voice as she crossed her arms. Yeah, you tell that pig, inner Sakura said. The other two occupants couldn't believe what they were hearing. Their surprised look, however, soon returned to the ones they had just a moment ago, with anger from Ino and disappointment from Kakashi. I don't believe what I'm hearing from you, Sakura. How can you still be on his side after he betrayed us? After he betrayed you? Kakashi said as he stared down at his student. It wasn't him, the pink-haired teen shouted in denial. It was that curse seal thing that monster put on him. He was brainwashing him. Sakura, that's not how a curse seal mark works. What Sasuke did was his own choice. He brought all of this on himself. Kakashi stated. You're lying. It was that creep. Slap. You stupid bitch. Sasuke chose to abandon us. It is because of him that my teammates are injured, as well as Neji and Akamaru, who is in critical condition. And he nearly killed your teammate, who has never done anything wrong to you. How can you still defend him after all the damage he caused?" Ino yelled at the top of her lungs. Sakura turned her head back to where she was facing forward again, ready to retort. But whatever comment she was going to say never came out. The only thing she could do was look directly at her best friend, who was glaring at her. Sure, she had seen her mad, but this is the first time she had ever seen this much rage coming from her. After a moment of silence, Kakashi spoke. "We were here to inform you that Lady Tsunade wants to see us tonight in regards to the mission. We hoped that maybe you would see to reason, but I guess we were wrong. It was always obvious where you stood in regards to being a shinobi, but I was so full of myself to see that. Goodbye Sakura, I hope you're happy with the side you have chosen," he said as he turned around and walked out of the room. "Goodbye Sakura, you are no longer my best friend, and right now, I don't care if I ever see you again," Ino said in a harsh tone. She then turned and left to catch up with Kakashi and the others who were on their way to the Hokage's office, who heard every word that was spoken. The dam finally broke after the door slammed shut. Sakura collapsed down to her knees and cried like she never cried before. End flashback. Sakura hadn't gotten a single hour of sleep after that. She just stared down at the dark-haired Uchiha asleep, hoping he would wake up soon. Little did she know that later, she wished she was not in the same room as him when he did. Naruto's recovery room. Konohamaru, Udon and Moegi were sitting in chairs right next to Naruto's bed on his left, waiting anxiously for their blonde friend to wake up. To Naruto's right was Hinata. She wanted to return to the hospital immediately after waking up. She even skipped breakfast. Kurenai took her there and then left to check up on Kiba and inform him on what was going to happen. He didn't want to leave Akamaru alone and asked to just be filled in on everything the next day. Gaara had hardly moved since last night. He owed so much to Naruto after setting him on the right path and becoming his first true friend. And he wanted to return the favor in any way he could. His siblings came by earlier and asked if he would like to swap with one of them, but their offer was declined. And with that, they left the room. "Please wake up soon, my brother." And sure enough, he got his wish. First there was a groan, which got everyone's attention, and then everyone could see Naruto's blue eyes open. Staring up at the ceiling, he turned to his right to see Hinata with fresh tears coming from her eyes with a smile. He smiled in return and turned to his left to see the three familiar bundles of joy he knew. He started to sit up to greet them, only to be tackled and hugged by the Hyuga and the children surrounding his bed. Gaara's only reaction was a smile as he walked to where everyone else was at. But as he was halfway there, the door opened to reveal Kakashi with Shizune in tow, who were delighted with the scene playing in front of them. However, the happy moment was very short-lived. Coming in the door were two Jonin. Gen and Uzumaki, by order of the council you are to report to the council chambers at once, one of them said in a neutral voice. This got everyone to look at them, with Hinata and the kids still holding their friend. "What? But he only just woke up. Can't you at least give him some time to get ready?" shouted Shizune. "Yeah, big brother Naruto needs time." Konohamaru yelled in agreement, which got nods from two friends. "Unfortunately, no. He is to report immediately. Now please, stand aside," the other Jonin said as he walked up to the group of people. Gaara was about to have at them, but was stopped by a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Kakashi shaking his head, meaning, "No. It'll be alright. You better be right about this, Hitaki," was all Gaara said as he took Kakashi's hand off of him. He watched in anger as the two took Naruto away. "Shizune, go inform the Hokage of what's happening. You all come with me. Hinata and I will explain what's happening as go get the others," Kakashi said to everyone. Shizune nodded and ran out the room to where her master was, followed shortly by the rest of the group. The Hokage's office. Tsunade was eagerly awaiting the response from the Fire Feudal Lord about what she said in her letter to him as she was going through the papers she would need for later. To her left was her and Shizune's pet pig, Tauntaun, sleeping on her own little bed. Then suddenly, Shizune burst through the door and informed her blonde superior of what happened at the hospital. "What?" the Hokage yelled, waking the poor little pig in the process. She dropped her papers and ran straight out the door without even thinking. How low can those assholes be? He hadn't even been awake for 5 minutes, she thought angrily. Konoha Council Chambers. All the clan heads and civilian members were assembled, along with the elders. Tsunade had arrived moments ago and was tearing the elders a new one for doing this prematurely without her approval. Also in the stands were many people of the village, civilian and shinobi alike. Among them were Kakashi, Hinata and all the other people in on Tsunade's plan. Gaara was also there, showing his anger but retraining himself from doing what he used to do to people he didn't like or got in his way. Entering the room in cuffs, Naruto, who was still in his hospital clothes, was escorted to the center of the room by two Jonins. The whole time he was walking he had his head down and his eyes closed, looking like he was about to cry. Reaching where they wanted him, he didn't move, still keeping his head down. "Someone remove those cuffs, surely those aren't necessary," yelled an outraged Tsunade, who got a few nods in agreement. The Jonins that escorted Naruto obeyed the order given, and freed the boy from his restraints. Once they were done, they returned to where they were. "State your name and rank before the council, for the record." Danzo commanded the blonde as he stared down on him. Taking a deep breath, he opened his eyes and looked directly at the people before him with no fear. What he said however caught everyone off guard. "My name is Naruto Namikaze. Genin of Konoha. Akatsuki secret hideout. Kakuzu, Hidan. Report," Pain said. Around him were all the members of Akatsuki, but not all of them were physically there. Kakuzu, Hidan, Itachi, Kisame, Sasori and Deidara used a jutsu that made them present, despite being in other countries. "We are outside the village perimeter now, awaiting your command, sir." Kakuzu responded. "Very well. When this meeting is over, commence your attack when ready." Pain commanded. "Yes sir. I can't wait to give Jashin some sacrifices," Hidan said with sick twisted grin as he held up his scythe. "Don't forget the main purpose of why we are here. Or do I have to remind you yet again?" Kakuzu asked his teammate in an annoyed tone. "Oh shut up," Hidan snarled. "Enough, both of you. And Sasori? Have you found what you were looking for?" "Yes sir. My informant was very specific of the location. Deidara has also verified it. We are currently awaiting the signal from my spy," Sasori said. "How long will this take? I want to create a beautiful piece of art." Deidara said anxiously. "Patience. You will have your chance in due time. But remember, I get to kill the bastard first," Sasori said to his teammate. "Fine, but don't take forever." Deidara said while breathing out a grunt. "If no one else has anything, then everyone is dismissed." Pain said to everyone. One by one, the ones who weren't physically there cancelled out their jutsu and were gone. The remaining members dispersed to other parts of the hideout, including Pain. He walked over to the back of the hideout, where he was standing behind a shadowy figure. "Things are going as planned so far. Excellent," the figure spoke, as he opened his Sharingan eye. "In time, everything that we have been working towards will become a reality. My name is Naruto Namikaze. Genin of Konoha." Nobody was expecting him to say that. His supporters that knew of this couldn't believe that he found out without them telling him. While the rest of the supporters who didn't know were even more shocked about this than when they learned of Naruto's other secret. Well, except of course Shikamaru, who already pieced it together. Figured as much. I mean, how can you not see the resemblance? Troublesome, the young Nara thought in his head. Naruto is related to the Yondiemi, or possibly his son now. Hard to believe he holds the Kyuubi and he's the son of a princess, but now this? Were the thoughts of some of Naruto's classmates who were present, except for Hinata. "Naruto-kun, how much more do I not know about you? Hopefully you'll give me a chance to learn more about you." The girl thought. "You, how dare you take the name of our beloved Yondiemi in vain, you demon brat?" Kaharu said, breaking the silence in the room. This caused all the other people against Naruto to protest at this too. "Yeah, now answer the question truthfully," Mebuki Haruno exclaimed over everyone else, causing everyone else in the room to cover their ears. Having had enough, Tsunade raised her fist high above her head, and with all her might broke her desk in two. But she wasn't done yet, for her fist met the floor causing many cracks to spread throughout the level she and the elders were on. "Shut up all of you. I make the orders here, not you," she yelled while glaring daggers at Kaharu and Haruno, who in return sat back down. Regaining her composure, the blonde then seated herself and looked down at Naruto. "Naruto, might I inquire how you discovered this? Did you know who tell you?" Naruto knew exactly what she meant by, "you know who." What's the point of keeping it secret any longer? He thought as he smiled back at his Hokage. Actually Granny, the Kyuubi did not tell me. The Yondiami did. He put some of his chakra into me when he sealed him into me. He told me everything. That I am his son, that he was taught by Pervy Sage, that he was Kakashi Sensei's teacher, that my mother is Kushina Uzumaki, who was the previous Kyuubi container after Mito Uzumaki. And of course, what really happened the night the Kyuubi attacked this place. He stated. This caused many people to look confused. There's nothing you can tell us that we don't already know. The Kyuubi hates humans, that's why it attacked us. Chomei said, glaring down at him. First of all, he has a good reason to hate humans. I mean, this place was originally his home first, but when the Leaf Village was founded he shared this land with them in harmony. That is until years later, when they started seeing him as not a protector, but as a weapon. He was enslaved against his will. Second, that's not quite the truth. An Uchiha who was not loyal to this village is responsible for the carnage of that night. My father explained that when my mother gave birth to me, the seal for the Kyuubi was weak, which the Uchiha used to extract the Kyuubi from her. And like Madara did decades ago, he used his Sharingan to mind control him into attacking the village. My father engaged him in battle, and while he was unable to kill him, he did cripple him and distracted him long enough to break his hold on the fox. And then, he sacrificed himself to seal the fox into me. That's what really happened that night. Many people who hadn't already known this were now talking amongst themselves, arguing about if it was really true or not. Those that thought it made sense felt ashamed that they took their anger out on a kid rather than the true person responsible, while others thought this was just the demon making up a fib to justify his actions. Naruto's supporters were now wondering what other secrets were being kept from them, and gave them more reason to leave. The only one whose facial expression hadn't changed was Danzo. But in his mind multiple questions were running through his head. What else does he know? Does he know about my involvement in that night? Does he know of my root organization? He stood up. Enough. We are not here to discuss the events of what happened that night, are we, Tsunade? He said, looking at the Hokage. Tsunade looked ready to snap. She truly hated that man. But she gave him her answer. No, we are not. Naruto, genin of Konoha. You stand before the council accused of the attempted murder of one Sasuke Uchiha. How do you plead? Not guilty. He ran away from the village with some of Orochimaru's lackeys. He looked towards his classmates and back to the council. He is the reason why my squad mates were injured, some severely including myself when he rammed a Chidori through my lung trying to kill me. I only did what I was ordered to do, bring back the traitor at all costs. So you say, while we do feel sorry for the other members of the retrieval team, how do we not know that Sasuke had changed his mind, was about to come back willingly, and was attacked by you? He could have acted in self-defense. Danzo said in a voice with little to no emotion. Except he didn't. I tried to talk him into coming back peacefully, but he refused. He said this, I'm sick of playing ninja. Why should I protect people that mean nothing to me, when I could go to someone who could give me all I need to kill my brother? That is my only objective. I tried again, but then he grew frustrated and threw the first punch. From there, we fought with me winning. Naruto said with a hint of pride. Lies. We all know how you two were rivals in your academy days. You saw that as a moment of opportunity, didn't you? To exact revenge on the poor boy for humiliating you all those years. You just couldn't live with the fact that he always put you in your place. Haruno screeched. I am not lying. Why not just have Ino's father enter my mind so he can see? If you won't take my word for it, maybe you'll take his. The young blonde suggested, even though he knew it was pointless. Do you think we're idiots? You'll just have him see false memories, ones that you fabricated to fool all of us. Heishi said. Exactly. And demons cannot be trusted. Chomei stated. Are you saying my mother was also a demon? For she was the Kyuubi's container before me. That would be surprising to me, since my father told me that the two of you were like sisters towards one another. Don't you dare speak of her. She was a wonderful person, a strong person. She was someone who could contain the fiend. Her son died as soon as you were sealed inside him. Chomei yelled. Before he could retort, both of their attentions turned Tsunade, who yelled, Order. That is enough. Anyway, to the matter at hand. Naruto, we the council have found you guilty of attempted murder of a fellow Leaf Shinobi. And before you woke up, we already ruled on how to punish you. You are hereby sentenced to life in Hozuki Castle, aka the Blood Prison. Danzo said with a small grin, with his supporters giving a similar grin. Naruto's eyes had widened. Sure, he knew he was going to be punished for hurting their precious Uchiha, but he was not expecting this. What? That's ridiculous. You are all insane, he yelled as he was being restrained by the two Jonins who had first brought him into the chambers. No, we would be insane to simply banish you, you fool. That's too good for you. You will suffer for the damage you inflicted on Sasuke, said Haruma. No, he will not, said a new voice. Everyone turned to the source and was shocked to see the fire daimyo, with a couple of guards and Jiraiya standing right beside him. This stops now, the daimyo declared as he walked towards Tsunade. My lord, I can explain, Tsunade said. She was about to continue, but her superior raised his hand up telling her to stop. I got your message, Tsunade. I am not angry at you. But we shall talk more later, he informed her. He then looked down at the young blonde. I've heard a lot about you, Naruto. It is a pleasure to finally meet you face to face. I'm sorry, but who are you? Naruto asked with a confused look. He's the fire daimyo, you idiot. Haruno screeched. This made the daimyo look at her. I don't believe was talking to you. Now unless I say otherwise, shut up. All of you. Why yes my lord, she stuttered. Now then, to answer your question. I am the fire daimyo, lord of the land of fire. Cool, but why are you here? Naruto asked without thinking. Why, I'm here to help you of course. Help me? But why? Well, for one thing, after reading the report on the mission you were involved in and what Tsunade said was going to happen to you and the traitor in a message she sent to me, I was not going to stand for it. I was actually making ready to come here as Jiraiya came to me and brought me here via the Toad summon he left me. The daimyo explained. The second reason is because I figured that I at least owe you a favor, given all the alliances you've helped us get with Suna, Wave and Snow. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya and mouthed the words, thank you, to him, to which he simply nodded with a little smile. This was shaping to be better than the plan she already came up with. My lord, might I suggest that we continue this discussion in my office? Just you, me, Jiraiya and Naruto. We can come back here once finished. Very well, if you'll kindly lead the way, he said to her. Nodding, she turned to her teammate. Jiraiya, I'll take the daimyo. Go down there and get Naruto. But before you bring him to my office, have him change clothes. Yes, love. And so, he went down, approached his apprentice and took him out the chambers, and shortly after that Tsunade and the daimyo reached their exit. But as they reached for the doors, Shizune emerged and was shocked to see who was in front of her. She was about to ask what was going on, but Tsunade stopped her. All she did was wink and walked out. But this did not answer her question. She went down the stairs to where Kakashi and the others were. What's going on, Kakashi? I don't know, but I'm sure that Tsunade and Jiraiya have things well in hand, he said as he did his usual smile. The Hokage's office. The daimyo and Tsunade had just arrived a few minutes ago, and were eagerly awaiting the arrival of Jiraiya and Naruto. They sat in silence with Tsunade sitting beyond her desk with the 3 scrolls from before laid out, and the daimyo sitting on the couch she had up against the wall. After waiting another minute or so, they had arrived, only this time Naruto was in his traditional orange outfit with his shinobi headband in his hand. Good. Now, Jiraiya seal the room, Tsunade commanded. Once the room was sealed she and the daimyo stood up. Alright, now we can begin. Naruto, come over here. He walked up to her desk. Now then, I'll need you to bite your thumb and smear it onto this, she said as she picked up one of the scrolls. Without responding, Naruto did as instructed. Once he was done, the scroll opened up and out came 2 more scrolls and a note. He picked it up and started reading it out loud so everyone in the room could hear. Naruto, if you're reading this, then you have either reached the age of 16 or the Sandame or perhaps the Godem believes you are ready for the rank of Chunin. What came out are how to learn my 2 signature moves, the Rasengan and Flying Thunder God. Inside the other 2 scrolls are the things your mother and I both left for you. Pictures, the keys to our estate, some of the Uzumaki history and techniques, some money I made as Hokage, and your mother's family fortune. You are free to use them as you please. I love you, son, I always will, as does your mother. I know you will accomplish more than I could ever hope to. Minato Namikaze. P.S. Don't let Jiraiya turn you into a pervert. Naruto smiled as he looked at his father's picture on the office wall. He then turned and put everything back in the scroll. I swear to you, father, I'll make you proud and I'll find mother for you. He thought as he then turned to his Hokage, still smiling. Thank you, Granny. Tsunade had no time to react before Naruto tackled her into a hug. But she then smiled and gladly returned the embrace. You're welcome, Brad. But anyway, that wasn't the only reason I called you here, she said in a serious tone. Naruto then broke the hug and gave her a hand to help her up. When she was on her feet again, she continued. Naruto, what else did your father tell you about your mother, besides what you mentioned at the meeting? Well, he showed me what she was like, told me that she is from a place called Whirlpool, among a couple of other things. Why? Did he mention that she was a princess by any chance? She asked him. This made Naruto's eyes widen in surprise. Are you serious? Nodding, Tsunade then spoke again. Indeed, brat. Your mother was the princess to Uzushiyogakure before it fell at the hands of Kiri, Iwa and Kumo long ago, she said as she pulled out a map and showed him the location. Right now, that land is deserted. Getting over his shock, then asked his next question. So, that land is mine? Indeed it is. Which brings me to my next question. Now that you know, what will you do with it? She asked. Naruto closed his eyes in thought. After a few moments, he opened his eyes and gave her his answer. Well, if no one is using it, then I guess I will. I can't just leave it like that. Plus, I want to see where my mother is from. Who knows, maybe she's there, ya know, he said with his usual grin. Very well, Naruto. But you realize that if that's the case, then you'll have to resign your position as a shinobi of this village. Are you sure this is what you want? Yes, I'm sure, Granny. He didn't hesitate. So be it. I knew you'd make this choice, that's why I prepared for it, Tsunade said as she pulled out a resignation paper and a pencil. I'm going to need you to sign here and here. And I'm gonna need you to hand over your headband. He looked at his leaf headband one last time. He thought about all the effort he put into it, and it meant so much more to him because it was given to him by Iruka, the first person ever to acknowledge him. He took a deep breath. I'll return it, but to the one who gave it to me. I think it would be best, he said, looking at the older blonde who nodded in reply. He then grabbed the form and signed it. Well, that is in order. Unless the daimyo has anything to add, Jiraiya said, looking at the Lord of Fire. Actually, I did have a couple of questions about this. Naruto, did you have any particular plans once you get there? And will Tsunade have some shinobi escort you? This got Naruto thinking again. Well, I haven't thought about it. I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But don't worry, I will not declare war on you guys or anything. Just because I've decided to no longer live here, doesn't mean I no longer want to protect it. I still have people I love here, Naruto answered, but it wasn't entirely true. He wouldn't attack Konoha, but he did have one thing in mind of what to use that place for. And as for your other question, that would be a good idea. Any suggestions on who it should be? I can do that, and also train on some things along the way. As well as a few others, Jiraiya said. Others? Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. Naruto, before the trial we told some of the people more about you because they seemed to care a lot about you, including Kakashi and some of your classmates and their clans. We had made a plan to get you before you were in the prison and get you to Whirlpool, with some of them wanting to stay with you and help you in any way possible. Tsunade informed him. Tsunade, we shall discuss that matter in private at another time, the daimyo said. While he did not blame her for wanting to do that, it was too risky and a little rash. Yes, my lord. Naruto for his part was surprised. To think that they would do that just for him, even Kakashi, who seemed to be playing favorites. With your permission, Granny, may those that wish to join me still come? Of course. In fact, Naruto, I have a proposition for you. And I think you'll like it, Tsunade said. I'm listening. This intrigued him. He sat down and listened intently. To Kigakure no Sato, village hidden by a waterfall. The once beautiful village was now a scene straight out of a nightmare. Blood covered much of the grass, houses were trashed and even burning, a couple of fallen trees, and bodies of men, women and children littered the ground. Ah, that was fun. This should please Jashin for quite some time, Hidan said, and he licked some blood off of his scythe. You know, Kakuzu, I envy you. What I'd give to have a chance to do this to where I'm from. While I am glad that I finally accomplished this after all these years, we failed to capture the Jinchuriki. Our leader will not be pleased. She could anywhere in any of the elemental countries. Kakuzu responded to his teammate as he ripped out the heart of the Shibuki while he was still alive, to replace the one that he lost battling him. You worried too much. We won't need her for another 3 years anyway. That'll give us plenty of time to find her. Hidan responded as he stood up walking to his teammate. That may be true, but regardless we failed. Now shut up and let's go tell our leader. Kakuzu said as he threw the body of the Shibuki hard into the ground and walked off. Why did I have to get paired with such a grouch in the first place? Hidan whispered to himself as he rolled his eyes and started walking in the same direction. Konohagakure no Sato, village hidden in the leaves. Many things had happened in as little as just one day. After the private meeting in the Hokage's office, the four of them returned to the council chambers where just about everything they discussed was now made aware to everyone in the village. Naruto is the heir to a fallen kingdom and he had decided he wanted to leave and travel to the ancestral home of the Uzumakis to learn more about them and to restore the land to its former beauty. Everyone who didn't already know was shocked to say the least, but one particular old warhawk was seething. This was going to put some of his plans into jeopardy, and with the Jinchuriki being able to roam free, he could not keep tabs on him. The boy could find out his involvement in the Kyuubi attack and could destroy him. Soon you will be dealt with, he thought as he was slowly planning how to handle this. The next order of business was the civilian council being removed from the council permanently. When they tried protesting saying they had every right to voice their own opinions, Tsunade shut them up in not very polite way. But they protested even further when they heard from their Hokage that Sasuke Uchiha would be sentenced to 10 years in Hozuki Castle, and the rest of his life on probation with his chakras sealed until the day he dies. Then there was the people who wanted to leave with Naruto. Tsunade and the Daimyo assembled them all to the Hokage office where one by one they signed the resignation forms she had prepared for them, starting with Kakashi and Hinata. Kiba wanted to come, but felt it was best to stay in Konoha so he could look after his sister. But he did promise that he would be there if they needed him, as did Team Guy. When everyone was done signing, Tsunade then asked for Hinata to come forward once again. She was shown why she was brought up again, which made her a little sad again. What she read was the disownment form signed by her now former father, Hiyashi Hyuga. But her sadness then quickly went away. It doesn't matter anymore. Now I'm free to make my own choices, and focus on doing my best for those who actually do care about me. She thought as she placed the paper back down. But any other thoughts she had in head were stopped, but Tsunade revealed another sheet of paper that caught her completely off guard. In the dark-haired teen's hands was a contract, but not just any contract. It was a marriage contract. She looked down at the already signed names hoping to find one name in particular, and she was so delighted to find it. Below it was said that if she signed below, she would agree to marry Naruto Namikaze once they reached the age of 16. She looked back toward said blonde, who was smiling at her. He explained to her that this was a way to form an alliance with Konoha once Whirlpool was restored. He also said that he wouldn't want to do this with one else. She then turned back to Tsunade, nodded her head real fast and signed her name on the dotted line with such speed. Afterwards, she dashed towards Naruto, jumped up and wrapped her arms and legs around him, to which he gladly returned the embrace. But it was short-lived as Tsunade gave a fake cough, and Hinata immediately jumped back down with her face as red as a tomato, which got some of the occupants in the room to laugh. But it was starting to get late, and so they all went to where they currently lived to get some sleep in preparation for the long journey ahead of them tomorrow. The next day, they all met again with the Hokage, Shizune, Asum, Iruka, Konohamaru and his friends, Gaara's siblings, Team Guy and Kiba with Akamaru at the village gates. But like always, they had to wait on Kakashi. Well, I guess this is goodbye, huh? Ino said to Tenten. No, not goodbye. We'll see each other again one day. Tenten said, smiling before giving the blonde-haired teen a hug. A few feet away was Naruto and Shino talking to Neji and Lee. Naruto, I swear to you that I will train hard every day and await the day I see you again. I wish to have an all-out battle next time we meet. Lee said with great enthusiasm. Naruto for his part just smiled with his eyes closed, giving him a thumbs up. You bet, bushy brows. He said back, and the two shook hands, sealing the deal. Naruto, you better treat Hinata well. She may no longer be a part of the clan, but she is still my cousin. Neji said, activating his Byakugan. Don't worry, I'll protect with my life. And besides, you can't defeat me so easily. Naruto said confidently. This however made Neji a little annoyed. Just take care of her. I will. I promise. And the two shook hands. Shikamaru and Choji were talking to Kiba. It won't be same here without any of you guys over here. Kiba said with his dog Akamaru barking in agreement. Troublesome. You are more than welcome to come with us. Yeah, Choji said while he was eating a bag of chips. I would love to, but I wish to stay here and protect my sister. And also to make sure my mother doesn't try anything. Kiba said. A hand was touching his shoulder. You are always welcome if you ever change your mind. Naruto said smiling. All Kiba did was nod with his head a little down. Hey, are you crying? Don't be stupid. Of course I'm not. Kiba said in denial as he quickly turned around to wipe away a lone tear that was about to go down his face. My eternal rival, I'm gonna miss you. Guy wailed as anime tears went down his face. I'll miss you too, old friend. Kakashi said with his eyes shut indicating that he was smiling. Take care of yourself, little brother. How soon can we expect you back in Suna? Temari asked. I don't know, but one day I will return. He promised. He bowed to his siblings, they did the same and he rejoined the group. Tsunade, Shizune and Jiraiya were off to the side watching everything. I'll make sure they get there safely, my love. Jiraiya said to Tsunade. Yes, make sure that you do. Nothing better happened to them, especially to my student. Tsunade said. This however confused Jiraiya and Shizune. My lady, I don't understand. Oh come on, you really think I'd be sending them out without a very good medic? But, my lady, I do not think I am ready to leave your side yet. I have many things to learn. I'm nowhere near as good as you. She admitted. That's not true. You may not be as experienced as I am, but there is nothing left for me to teach you in this field. And, I do believe you are ready to take on an apprentice of your own. The blonde said pointing toward the other female blonde that was there. She asked me once if I could teach her a thing or two, but for obvious reasons I can't. Shizune gave this some serious thought. She didn't want to leave her master, but her master did bring up some interesting points. She looked at Ino and then back to her teacher. Alright, I'll do it. Nodding, Tsunade then gave her a hug and bid her farewell. You'd better write to me. Kurenai said to Asuma. I will, he said as he finished his cigarette. Take care of yourself, Konohamaru. I promise that I'll come and visit this place whenever I can. Naruto said with his hand on top of the little boy's head. You'd better, was all Konohamaru said. He and his two friends then gave him another hug. Naruto then got up and looked towards the last person of the group. His former teacher, Iruka. Thank you, Iruka-sensei. Thank you for believing in me and for being my teacher. He said to the man as he held out his hand holding the headband he gave him. And thank you. It was an honor having you as my student. He said as he took the headband and gave Naruto a hug with tears coming down both of their faces. Afterwards, the parted ways with Naruto rejoining his traveling group. Until next time, take care and be safe. Naruto said to the people who were with Tsunade. Well Naruto, we await you. Jiraiya said as he lightly touched his student's back and guided him to the front of the group. Straight ahead, right pervy sage? He whispered to the toad sage. Indeed it is, he replied, and so they parted to wave. Tsunade and her group kept waving and saying goodbye. But unknown to them, another person was watching everything. And that person, surprisingly, was Hinata's younger sister, Hanabi. I'll miss you a lot sis. I promise you, I'll unite both groups of the Hyuga. I'll accomplish your dream, she thought with determination as a tear went down her face. She then left the area before she was by anyone, especially her father. He did not know of this, and she wanted it to stay that way, at least until it was too late for him to do anything about it.
That's all for now. If you enjoy this video, then please like, share and do comments.